welcome to Track Trav. I am Trav, and this is the Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 1 review for Red Directive, which is surprisingly apt. I don't know. I really enjoyed this episode, so stick around, like, comment, subscribe. We'd seen in one of the clips where Burnham is on top of a ship, and I'll better tell you this: spoilers for the new episode of Star Trek Discovery. It is a fantastic episode. We go back in time after that action piece, 4 hours. Burnham's at a dinner. We see Tilly. Hugh gets a bit flustered at a guy she sees. We see Saru, and we see all of our crew socializing. Stamets talks about how the spore drive has been dropped as a research thing and they're going with the pathway drive. I don't know why it has to be a bit hippie sounding, but whatever the pathway drive is, I hope we see it. We are called away and Burnham is told she needs to go and get an artifact from a Romulan ship from 800 years ago, around the time of Captain Picard. And this will come back to us later. This episode overall, the mission of them going to find this artifact on the Romulan ship, we meet up with Mole and Ball, or these two characters, who I'm sure I'll know the name of by the end of the series, who are sort of con artists. They're on the hunt for this artifact as well. They get away with it, but they take it to a guy named Fred, who is an android, a data brand android, which is a bit weird because we'd already seen them in Picard and they were more human-like. But the Ball and Mole, the Mole Ball, they go to this android, they try and sell him it. The android reads the paper really, really quickly once he's opened up the Romulan puzzle box that they found on the ship. We get Burnham and Booker, and we get Captain Rayner, who is a bit more, I want to say, harsh and gruff and grumpy. And he's actually, like, he's a dick, but he's like one of those lovable dicks, which is fine. The deal with Mole and Ball and Fred doesn't go down. Fred is killed, and Mole and Ball run off with the book that was inside the puzzle. And then Burnham and Booker come and find Fred the android. They beam him up so they can get some information from him of the deal and how it went down. But while Mole and Ball are escaping, we have this really cool, like, hovercycle chase of the ship trying to get to them. Through the desert using the AR wall, I'm presuming. It looks fantastic, and I have to put a big applause to the music in this episode. This episode musically felt like a movie, and even like I was genuinely excited by this bike chase, the ship flying towards the caves. We get an avalanche. We get Discovery and the Artemis, which is Rayner's ship, just head firsting into sand. Obviously, they're more structurally sound than TNG ships because the Enterprise D did not survive that. Kind of. It's a really fun mix of action and adventure. We get another story of Saru and Tamriel. The Vulcan ambassador, trying to work out what they want to do. Saru's been offered an ambassadorship with the Federation, so he would have to leave Starfleet. And he is a bit concerned because he loves being a Starfleet officer, but he wants to be closer to, effectively, his new love. Their relationship has blossomed. And by the end of the episode, spoilers, he basically tells her that his family is her and he loves her, and he's going to take it, and we get a marriage proposal, and Saru's about to get hitched, and it's a sweet, like, their babies will be monstrously ugly, but they will be married if they do have babies. But we are propelled at the end of the episode to basically know what they are chasing and what they are hoping to achieve by this. What does it come from? And we find out that in an episode of TNG, I don't know quite what episode it is, we find out that all humanoid species in the Star Trek universe came from a progenitor race. It's an episode of TNG, it has Picard in it, we see the alien, and basically these are the Romulan that did the studies that are in the little book that Fred was reading, was one of the people on that planet who was researching the progenitors, which is these original creatures. So we are searching for our forefathers, or the galaxy or the universe's forefathers, and Cronenberg, who plays a character, but I couldn't call him Cronenberg, he basically enlists Michael and her crew to go on a magnificent adventure of a lifetime to find either this technology or this puzzle or this treasure, of which will be our season long. And there's only 10 episodes in this season. I'm really excited to discuss season 5 of Discovery. I haven't done Discovery yet on this channel in terms of a proper now review, but this episode was like a movie. It was like a Discovery movie, and it very much feels like the final season. If this wasn't the final season, I don't know how. It would have been a big reshuffle of all the characters. So I definitely think that it was sort of planned to be sort of the final mission for this group of people. Michael also feels a bit more firm and a bit more in control and a bit more captainy. Sarui's fantastic. We have Tilly back. And I've missed her like silliness and wackiness. Stamets and Culber. Stamets doesn't know what he's going to do because the spore drive's been put on. He's sort of a bit lost. Culber's being doctory. There's just some fantastic stuff in this episode. We've got, I don't know if it was in this or the second episode, so forgive me. There's a tribble crawling up the wall, and then it falls and wanders off. Why is there a tribble in Discovery? I don't know. It's just silly. But it was a great and a fun episode. I'd love to know what you thought, so make sure to leave a comment, like or subscribe, or just yell at me profusely about how much you hate the show. I've been Trek Trav, and be sure that the episode 2 review is next. I see that you have joined me in the Star Trek Discovery Season 5 Episode 2 review. Thank you for popping up. Thank you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into the episode. I have just finished watching this, and I don't think this is as good as the first episode. We open up. Our next destination is a planet with 2 moons, and the episode is aptly titled. And the mission is basically, we find out this is Saru's final day. He's leaving Discovery. He's going to be an ambassador and boink a Vulcan's brain out. And Michael is depressed. Booker has been booked on for the rest of the mission because he was a smuggler / courier. He might have some insight onto Molenball. But it's a slower pace. It's not as a big and bombastic and as exciting. The music is more subtle, more beautiful. Saru and Michael go to a planet. There's big ass statues. They get attacked by balls in space that fire little lasers. We find out that it's EMP. They're looking for this mystery, so we get the adventure. We find out Captain Rayner is helping. Captain Rayner comes in on a hologram and helps him to deactivate the defenses of this ancient society 2,000 years ago. We get a brilliant just visual feast of a planet, and it's really because it's Discovery doing Strange New Worlds. Is they actually showing us Strange New Worlds now? It was fantastic to see just this little bit of effort. They get to the temple, they use an EMP to stop the bad guys, they find this writing, they think it's Beta Z, but when they eventually realise, move the statue, it was Trill, we're on an adventure to Trill next week, which is great. I love seeing legacy planets. And we've been to Trill before in Discovery, so it's not a huge surprise. We have some really good dialogue between Saru and Michael, talking about how they've both grown and how they respect and love each other. And when he leaves at the end, it's genuinely sad. Booker being there, he's trying to get a message to Molenball and sort of work out what they're doing. We find out that Booker knows who Maul is. And that is our little interesting thing for this season. It's a fantastic episode. Maybe not as wham bam as the first episode. This is very much seems to be about the relationship between Michael and Saru. A little bit about Booker and Stamets and Colbert working out, understanding the antagonists. I wouldn't even say they're antagonists. The other people trying to get to this treasure. But the Michael Saru part is very clearly the emotional staple. These two have been together since the beginning of the series. They've had their ups and downs. They're like brother and sister. And the funniest part is that Michael very much makes. She's just acting like a captain now. She's not using that airy tone except for when she's deliberately being emotional. When she's a captain, she's quite forceful. Which leads us to the captain from the last episode. Captain, I've forgotten his fucking name. I'll remember it and put it in here. Who gets kicked out of Starfleet, forcibly retired. And we find that out. They have an inquiry and he just shoots himself in the foot. And ultimately, he's out. And then Michael needs to look for a new first officer. She needs someone who challenges her. So Captain Rayner, she asks Admiral Vince that she wants Captain Rayner. And that's what we get. Now, next series, and it is an interesting combination because they're both sort of forces to be reckoned with. So it'll be great to see those two working together. I think that this episode looked spectacular. We keep getting shots of the Earth space stock, and Discovery looks really beautiful. I don't know. You can never fault Discovery on how it looks and how it feels, because the whole look of the universe is fantastic. I do wish we had more legacy aliens in it. This episode didn't really have any doubts other than it was a slower pace. I wish there was a bit more bang in this episode. There were some fantastic shots and some fantastic character moments between Saru and Michael, but this episode was very flat. I think Rayner will be a great addition. I think he's enough of an asshole to kick Michael Burnham in the ass, and I think that's great. I hope we get, in season 5, each episode sort of focusing on one of our characters, other than Michael. I think that would be fantastic. I don't have any predictions for this series yet, but I do think that we're off to a brilliant start, and I hope you join me next week for Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 3. Make sure to like, comment, write what you think, tell me off, tell me I look like a fucking moron, and I will see you next time.